first method in the isometric families, overcoming isometrics, also called pushing or pulling against pins. Overcoming, you're trying to overcome a resistance that can't be moved. One of the greatest benefits of this mode of action is that it increases the recruitment of muscle fibers, maybe up to 10% higher than what you can reach during dynamic actions. It's also very effective at strengthening a specific joint angle. That's one of the limitations of this form of exercise, because you will strengthen mostly the angle being trained. But if you are using it, for example, to fix or address a weak point in the range of motion, it becomes a very powerful tool. But also, it can be used as more of a general strengthening exercise, simply because, well, you will get a very strong strengthening of the central signal, the central excitatory drive from the nervous system to the muscles. For athletes, for example, the purpose of strength training is general. It's mostly to get a stronger central excitatory drive to the muscles, and then you can use that capacity to promote a strong drive during your more specific work, the power work, for example. Okay? Overcoming isometrics can do that at a lower cost and lower risk than regular training. In the subsequent section of this video, I will cover how to use that, for example, in which period of your year, for what purpose, where do you put in your training program. But now let's just look what it looks like, right? I'm going to use it on a curl, not because I like biceps particularly, but from a demonstration purpose. It's simpler for me to do the exercise while I can still give you feedback if I'm standing up rather than if I'm trying to do a squat or a bench press. So here I'm using the bar, and I will put it beneath the safety pins, and then I will try to pull as hard as I can against those safety pins, okay? Now, for that movement to be maximally effective, you want to use at least 90% effort, probably closer to 100 for sets of 6 to 9 seconds. You could use it for slightly longer, up to 30 seconds, with an 80-90% type effort. But really, this method is mostly a max effort method, so 90 to 100 for 6 to 9 seconds. Now, why would you use such a method? You can use it, well, again, to fix or address a weak point in a lift. For example, if on a deadlift, you're weak just below the knees, you could do the overcoming isometrics in that position, and you will get a strengthening effect at that joint angle, which will allow you to overcome that weak point. It can also be used as an activation prior to a heavy lift. Maybe you are attempting a max squat, so you'll do an overcoming isometric squat 2 or 3 minutes prior to a maximum effort lift. That will wake up the nervous system, send a stronger excitatory drive to the muscle, will help you get that lift up. It can also be used by athletes as part of a complex. So for example, you could use it prior to doing an explosive movement. So you would use the overcoming isometrics on squats, for example, or on deadlift, 6 to 9 seconds, really, really hard, creating neurological activation. 2 to 3 minutes later, you would do a vertical jump or a loaded squat jump or power clean. You're taking advantage of the increase in neurological activation to potentiate an explosive movement. So these are the best ways to use the overcoming isometrics. It can also be used in season to maintain your strength with very little fatigue, very easy to recover from, and very low risk of injury. So that's another application. For example, you could combine it with, let's say, sled pushing or pulling. Isometrics combined together, very effective at maintaining your strength in season with very little cost.